Bearcat Bounce Podcast, back at it again. It's a Monday. It's a Monday with the entire crew back together again. It is a Monday following more official visits for the football program and more commitments for the football program. It's a Monday as well, following another week of basketball off-season talk and a couple of nice videos showing what the squad potentially can look like. And it's also a Monday where, yes, I mentioned it, not one, not two, not three, but all four of us back on your screen together, back in your ears for the podcast yet again. I got to say it. My guys, my pals, my partners, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, we're back together. How are we?
Good.
There
Good.
we
I
go.
hit the wrong button.
Thought you were leaving for a second.
No, I'm out of sorts. It's travel day today. You know how that goes. A lot going on. So just kind of getting back into the flow of things.
Well,
good.
You made it back.
Yeah.
Spent a Father's Day in beautiful, busy Universal, I take it. So
I think we walked about 7.5 miles yesterday.
sounds about right.
Watching the kid ride rides and people watching and doing all that fun stuff that you do in beautiful Orlando, Florida. It was
which Universal were you at?
We did both parks.
Oh, baby.
So her whole goal was ride all the roller coasters. I think she got to all of them but one before she pooped out and was ready to go back to the hotel and sleep for 3 hours.
I mean, that's impressive, though. That's a lot of coasters, a lot of waiting in line, or did she get a fast pass?
She had, fast pass. Okay. I mean, we only had one day. It wasn't like we could casually. It was very like, all right, here's the goal. She's going to ride roller coasters. Let's go ride some roller coasters. So,
I mean, that's the craziest thing is that in Disney now, you literally could schedule your day based on like fast passes and whatnot. You got to do it. I'm not waiting 2 hours.
She did Velocicoaster twice. She loved that one. That was her favorite. And then she did the rock and roll coaster or whatever that's at Universal, like right when you walk in, that you go straight up and then down. And she did that one twice. And then every other one but one once. And then they did all the water, the log flume, and all that good stuff. So it was a busy day.
How was
about 14 glasses of water?
Yeah.
I mean, it was hot.
Yes.
Well, they say the forecast was cloudy, overcast, chance of thunderstorms all day. It didn't rain a drop. The sun was beating down like the fire of 1,000 suns. It was humid as hell.
Yep.
Like you think you can trust the forecast at 8 a.m. I looked at the forecast at 8 a.m. to plan for like what the day was going to be like, and it wasn't. They got everything wrong. But and then the volleyball it was okay. They were 4-6. They finished 69th out of like 160 teams, which I thought was nice.
That's very nice.
And they went. It was. They had a really bad day and then followed that up with a really good day, and the rest was just kind of in between. There was a team from Houston. They had a 12-year-old that was 6'2".
Okay.
Her dad was 7 foot. Her 16-year-old brother was like 6'10", 6'11". He plays for one of the Texas teams on the Under Armour circuit. So it's like, what? They're 12! And then they played like 3 Puerto Rican teams that just never let the ball hit the floor. Like they made every play. I was like, damn, I thought that it was just baseball, but I guess the girls play volleyball in Puerto Rico because there were Puerto Rican teams everywhere. They had the chants on the sidelines, like
intimidation. Yeah,
it was pretty wild. It was definitely a higher level of volleyball.
Okay,
when you get down there to nationals, but it was good. We had a good
dodgeball style. They walk in, they have their intro walk in and everything like that. Yeah,
it wasn't quite that, but it kind of felt like that a little bit.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Well, yeah, the weather that's very Florida-like. Just tell you it's going to rain every day, and if it does, we're right, and if it doesn't, just blame it on Florida. But
Right.
someone else that just got back from that beautiful Sunshine State. That's right, that guy, catty corner to be the diagonal, Mr. Ron. Sir, how are we?
Good. Went down to Madeira Beach, right around Tampa. It was nice to
Madeira.
get away. Have yep. Nice to get away though and have some time away and be with the family and all that, man.
Aaron's energy is
it's like cataclysmically low.
You guys drove back though, didn't
Just
you? Like,
head and phone.
You got back
tired
yesterday.
as can be.
We drove back, got back at 2:30 yesterday morning.
Yeah.
We had a
I'm
whole
not
day
gonna. I'm done with the driving.
Yeah, never again.
The even though like we were delayed a little bit today, it's so much, especially 14 hours, whatever, to get down there. That takes just way too much more out of you. Like I've religiously been, I'll just drive, and I'm at the age now where it's like, no, I'm gonna fly
through the mountains, all of it. It's just that drive is horrible. I made it one time during like Christmas season too, and there was some crazy crash in Nashville, and I was like, "Yep, I'm never doing this drive ever again." So I'm there with you. But Aaron, it was good. How was the weather? Tampa's a booming spot. It's a place that's pretty cool to be
crazy.
there. About to build a massive football stadium there too, right? We'll joke.
That's what I hear. But yeah, we drove down to the East Coast. Went down through like Columbia and Charlotte and avoided Atlanta, which we can do when we're leaving from this side of the state of Ohio. So went through Jacksonville, all that, and then cut over through like Gainesville. But glad to be home. Then I got to mow 4 acres yesterday. So
hey, not too shabby. Happy Father's Day to you as well.
Appreciate it.
Couple daddies here on the BBP. So shouts to the dads.
Thank you, sir.
There we go. Mr. Royer, my man, how are we?
Good. I was over in your neck of the woods, a little wedding in Indianapolis.
Ooh.
Was nice over at the Bitwell Event Center. You've been there?
Yeah, I have.
It was a nice little setup. Drew Hartman, I don't know if you guys remember him. The walk-on lineman back when he came in with me.
Yeah.
Vinny McConnell was there, so I got to catch up with him and Big
Vinny.
Hartman. Yeah.
Sensei Curtis.
Yeah, a little sensei action. It was a good time. Then drove back and just kind of spent time with my dad yesterday. It was a nice day.
From Drew Hartman from old Noblesville High School. There we go.
Yeah, he's an indie boy too.
Quick shout out to Noblesville. But yeah, it's a good weekend. Good weekend for all. And now we're back. Speaking of going to weddings, as Ed Mayhall is bringing that in, and Ryan mentioning a wedding. What if you're on your way to the wedding and it's in Cincinnati and your car breaks down? You got to figure something out. You potentially could just hit up our boy Danco Joe over at Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Get yourself fixed up real quick. Make sure the frown turns upside down and you make it to that wedding on time. So hit up Danco Joe, Danco Transmission and Auto Care. $10 off your next oil change, 10% off your next fixing. Danco, mention Aaron, Ryan, Chad, mention South Florida, mention Ryan Royer, mention volleyball. See what happens. Then see if you can't get a little help with everything. But guys, one thing that keeps moving and grooving is yet again another official visit weekend, another steaming group of 1, 2, 3, 4 new commits into the football program in the 2024 class since our last time speaking. Let's go ahead and break those down just one by one, even though it was last Tuesday when a couple of these happened. But first off, start with Devin Zahersky, who is a tight end, listed as defensive lineman as well. Offers from Pittsburgh, Rutgers, West Virginia. Kind of a guy that some tape out there. He looks like he's a big dude who can move well for his size and can really play the tight end position as flex outside or be in the box to further help the run game. But man, I tell you what, you watch some of the tape of him catching the football. That's a big dude running and making some athletic plays. Chad, Aaron, Ryan, anything that you guys have furthermore on Devin Zahersky?
I mean, kind of fits the profile, big physical frame. I know he's listed as a defensive lineman. Cincinnati recruiting him as a tight end, and a guy that Satterfield's offense has shown the propensity to look for tight ends over the middle, to kind of leak those guys out in that wide zone running scheme and have them become kind of that pass option in the RPO. So looks like a really good fit. 24/7 Sports has him as an 85, number 49 player in Ohio. No composite yet, but I do think, it kind of fits the profile. Maybe not the 6'6" type tight end that the previous staff, that like pass catching, the K position that they called it. But maybe more of a guy that's going to be more in line. Might see some H-back out of him, depending on how his body develops. But fits with the profile that they seem to be looking for at tight end. And that's a room that needs an influx of young talent. They thought they had two guys that were coming in last year, and that kind of fell apart. And so they were going to have to address it in this class, and Zahersky now gives them two. So, yeah.
Ryan, that size, normally you see a flip from defensive line over to tight end. You think, is that going to pan out well? I mean, you look at one, Peyton Singletary played defensive end his time in high school, a little bit of tight end as well, but mainly defensive end. He obviously is going to have some time playing at the tight end position this season. How does that translate? Just overall size, if you have the athletic ability to back it up, is that just kind of all that matters?
I just think I think what I saw out of like Josh Wiley, he had the athleticism, and he learned how to use his athleticism to build strength and to be a good run blocker. So I think athleticism at the tight end position is what sticks you like out and like really lets you kind of be something special. Having that frame, having the ability to run routes at high speeds, out the break, and get open. And I think you can teach a lot of guys how to get better at blocking, but you can't teach guys kind of that intangible that Josh had. But I don't really know a lot about this guy. You always need guys that you can put in for extra tight end packages that can block and that can get movement up front. And I'm not going to write this guy off or anything because I've never seen him play, but also going to what Chad said, seeing kind of how Satterfield uses tight ends. The kid's got a good frame. He seems like he's going to be a hard-nosed, good blocking tight end. Now I'm excited to see what he can do when you spread him out and get him on some linebackers out in space. But still kind of got to see what the style they use him as.
Yeah, kind of like Lenny and Josh. I mean, Grover's obviously 6'6", has that taller, athletic type build. But I mean, they're both big dudes that they're bringing in. But as well, we mentioned the way that run blocking is important in the tight end room as well. So Zahersky, good addition, has some Power 5 offers. Obviously, just mentioned how, one thing that you see in all the commitments is they continue to mention the family feel and, the feel of being at home and how, the coaching staff just makes them feel really, really happy and enjoyable to be in town. So Devin Zahersky committed last Tuesday, but hey, we have the mention here. Next was Marcavius Cuevo Sabor. We kind of hinted at this one a little bit last BBP. Obviously, he mentioned that he had an announcement to make around noon on Tuesday the 13th, and it ended up being a good commitment. Defensive back, Arkansas, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Missouri, Ole Miss, big time offer list. Another guy who kind of fits that mold of flies around the football, plays wide receiver as well, plays kind of every position you need. Has a knack for getting to the ball. Anything else that you saw, Chad or Aaron, out of Quavo, as they call him?
Aaron, you got anything? No.
Just like his size. I mean, 6 foot, 170. I think that's kind of. I mean, it's not a knock on threats back there at what 5'10" or
5'10" or so.
But yeah, I like the size they're going with at safety. I think that's gonna do nothing but help the secondary in that regard.
Go get as many top 100 kids from Georgia as you can get on the roster. Like we've talked about that before. Like that state is just so flush with talent right now. But looks like a kid that can come down and make some plays in the box. He's got a physicality to him that I like. Looks like he's got pretty good length. You want guys to be as rangy as possible back there. That's ultimately what I thought made Derek such a great player. Was not only did he have the size, but he had the length, and he was able to use that to his advantage, either playing in the box or playing deep. So hopefully this is a guy that can kind of show that versatility to figure out both spots and use some of that length and athleticism to help him in a multitude of different ways.
Yeah, I mean, like Willie Goodwin obviously is the other commit that happened prior to the show last week, and it's just another defensive back that looks like he can fill multiple positions and kind of has that versatility. So, very impressive offer list as well, and he's now the third highest rated commit in the class that has gotten a composite score up to this point. 88 is what he is sitting at. That's behind Daniel James and Cale Woodburn. But yeah, as you mentioned, Chad, another Georgia commit, 5 of them now in this class out of the 13 commits. So I mean, they keep bringing him in. Georgia is not short of really producing commitments and players that kind of what you mentioned it numerous times. 80th in the class is like top 15 in the state of Ohio. So
yeah, well, I mean, their 2 highest rated commits are from 3 highest rated commits are from Georgia.
Yeah,
so keep going down there and digging them out.
A lot of Joey Votto mentions in the chat. Got to throw a quick shot to Joey Votto and the Reds. How about that? They are hot.
I mean, he crushed it.
I was going to save it till later, but Chad, you got to pump up Saturday a little bit. Is that sold out yet, or is that still?
I don't know. I would get tickets fairly quickly because they are building momentum, and I don't know that it's going to sell out, but I would get yourself locked in if you're going to be joining us for Reds and Rains at Great American Ballpark on Saturday.
I mean, I imagine the limited edition hat is gone. First 250 got that, but
yeah, and then
who knows?
Maybe you get a replica Hunter Green jersey for going Saturday.
Okay,
that's the giveaway. Wow,
not too shabby. Although he did just hit the IL, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. But hey, that's talking Reds here on the BBP. But they are scorching hot. Aaron, you've missed it, man. In Florida, the Reds stayed hot.
Oh, I watched 2 games. I was just upset that I don't have a VPN, so I couldn't gamble while I was down there.
That's why you get a bookie. Should have just texted me.
Never need to gamble. Just text Brent. He'll get you. Hey, I got a guy.
I would have just taken your bets. I would have said, all right, let's roll.
Unreal.
But yeah, that's talking Reds on the BBP. Ryan, you got anything to add to the Reds talk on the BBP?
It's a serious buzz, man. I went to the first Ellie De La Cruz game, and it was not. I mean, there wasn't a ton of people there, but just the energy in the ballpark was crazy. And seeing them rattle off all these games in a row, I'm going to try to go to the game tomorrow. You guys kind of spoiled my chances of that tonight, so I missed the Votto home run because of y'all. But going to try to get to see one tomorrow. If
I mean, you don't have to be here. I can just,
Yeah. No, it's great, man. I've been here for 6 years, and you haven't really seen this kind of energy back in the the team. I mean, what was it since like 2014?
Yeah.
So hopefully they can keep this going. I think with the Bengals being good, the Reds being good, Big 12 Bearcats football, like you're gonna have, and basketball too. You're gonna be city of Cincinnati is gonna have a hard time choosing what to go to. So I'm excited.
America's team, baby. This does connect to football. I mean, how important is it for these official visits to have the city buzzing? Because as you can see with the that Big 12 article, kind of highlighting Cincinnati out of Oklahoma. They kind of mentioned it. It is a city, urban vibe to this entire campus, and very close to downtown. Just has that feel for it. I mean, I imagine these new kids that are on campus today for another official. Which, Chad, I want to mention that later. There's a few people that are on campus for what officials today through tomorrow, I believe. But I mean, it's got to be crazy to just be sitting there and all of a sudden you hear fireworks go off and you're like, "Well, what's going on?" It's the Reds game. The city is buzzing. So nothing but positive
Buzzing.
coming out of that. What's that?
There's more people in the right field, like the moon deck, than there's been at games this season.
Hey, man. If you build it, they will come, right? And they are.
Something like
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, it's from a movie. It's a movie reference. Yeah, pretty
Thanks.
good. Pretty good flick. Pretty good one. But yeah, that's us talking Reds and connecting it with football here on the BBP. Back to commitments, though. Up next is, of course, Jace Mitchell, interior offensive lineman, but Saucy mentions that could possibly scoot outside to the tackle position. Has the might not have the height, but has the length for that. Has some offers from California, Georgia Tech. His tape looks nice, looks athletic, looks to be a good get for the offensive line. Chad, you kind of been on top of it. What are you seeing from Mr. Jace Mitchell?
Good athleticism. He plays with a little nasty, which you obviously want from a guy if he ultimately lands inside. But I mean, also has that length that, like you said, that's from talking to people around the recruiting side of things. They think he does have some length and ability that he could transition outside. But at worst case, you're thinking you hopefully landed a starting guard, and then you go from there. That's kind of you start there and work out if you can. So I think they feel like they got a couple pretty strong interior line prospects already kind of dialed in, and now you see what you can find to tackle.
Yep. Jake Wheelock, obviously the trailblazer for the 2024 class, if you will. He was in on a visit, and obviously he's a very vocal commitment for the team. So kind of a leader of that group. So he joins Jace as the two offensive linemen commits in 2024 class. And then, of course, got to wrap it up with Monte Whedon. This is a big one. Committed to Cincinnati. It seemed like his recruitment was really starting to kind of blow up a little bit. Boston College, Florida State, Ole Miss, Maryland, Texas, Virginia Tech, and West Virginia. Big time hitter, sideline to sideline. Plays with a mean streak, no doubt. He's a guy, obviously, the whole Quay Birdsong discussion, decommitment from last week, kind of gets a complete withdrawal after Whedon committing. Anything on Mr. Monte Whedon?
Was lining up an official visit to Texas, and now that is apparently not happening. So that's a good sign. I mean, you like seeing guys like this on the way up at this point in the cycle, guys that are trending upwards, where Quay Birdsong was, frankly, had kind of trended down since his commitment to UC. Now, some will say that's just because he committed to UC, but that's a conspiracy theory I'm not going to get into. But you like getting kids on the way up, and this is another kid from St. John's in Washington, D.C., getting a little bit of a pipeline kind of flowing at in the DMV, which is always a great thing for basketball. But there's some good football played there, especially at that particular high school. That's kind of a juggernaut in the DC area. So excited about this one because I think you need those physical, rangy, aggressive linebackers in the middle of a defense if you're going to have, kind of a 4 linebacker look like this team is trending towards. And he looks like a guy that will, I guess, probably be identified as a will, unless he fills out a little bit more. And then you could maybe see him as a middle linebacker. But you need playmakers at that spot, and he looks like one.
Big time athlete as well for that linebacker position. Looks like he's gonna take away some of the hurt that some people felt from the decommitment of Birdsong. I mean, that's another topic for a different time. I'm sure we'll touch on it here shortly. But obviously, another commitment joining in the linebacker corps. Simeon Coleman, who Dave kind of was mentioning it on the board a little bit. It kind of seems like Coleman fits more of that middle linebacker vibe, and then another one is, kind of having the outside linebacker filled in by Whedon. Those two at the second level seem to be like a good 1-2 punch.
Yep.
And I mean, Mate was the big commitment. Vicious, big hitter as we mentioned. Kind of really does fill that role, and it's a big time player. Aaron, anything on Whedon that you've been able to see?
No, the little bit that I caught while I was on vacation just seemed like he was already pretty active on social media and getting that out there and just kind of bolstering the commitment class, and everybody seemed pretty excited about him. So looking at his offer list, not knowing where he's going to fall in the rankings, I'm fully on board with. It seems that everybody had a hand on this one.
Yeah, I imagine that ranking will come soon. Obviously, it's one of those sit and wait type situations, but the 13th commitment of the class, Monte Whedon, it would be 14, but Quay Birdsong decommitted recently. Anything on that front? Chad, Aaron, Ryan, just obviously was the highest rated recruit of the class, but slowly started to slip a little bit in the rankings. One that obviously was gonna be added to Coleman and Whedon, make a pretty good group in the linebackers as far as that goes. But Birdsong no longer a part of the 2024 class.
I mean, when a guy announces his commitment and then like 2 hours later says he's taking other visits, take the commitment with a little bit of a grain of salt. Like you didn't see the normal freak out that you see when a highly ranked kid decommits, because it was like nobody even like started the celebration when it happened. It was like, okay, well, we see where this is going.
The writing was on the wall.
Yeah.
I wish him the best, but that was a tough one. It's funny when you get that tweet sent to you about he's setting up a visit to UCF and whatnot, and then you're like, wait a minute, he just committed. But whatever, you do that thing where you're like, hey, it's just part of the recruitment, just let him play it out. But I mean, what's your guys' stance on? And Ryan, this will be interesting to hear your point of this. If a player commits, do you want them to completely drop any other official visits that might be upcoming, or are you okay with them just going through the recruiting process, or do you want them to say, hey, you committed here, if you're going to go take other places, we're not going to honor your commitment?
I think definitely no official visits should be going on. I mean, obviously you can always, you should be able to talk to other teams and just take calls and stuff, but I think that if you're going to commit, you should commit, and you shouldn't be like going on officials, and you probably shouldn't be decommitting to go somewhere else. You should, if I was him, I would just wait it out. If you're not ready, like right away, and then just hold like a strong lean to the Bearcats, tip that off, and then just go through your recruiting process. Don't ever jump the gun. But
that part's difficult though, Ryan, because as well as I do that they're pushing for commitments. Like, they're doing everything they can to get you in the fold. So it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. Like, I know exactly, and I don't disagree with where you're coming from. I just think as you get farther and farther up the recruiting ladder, you've got to make a decision of like, are we gonna play the games that happen on the higher rated recruits, or are we gonna stick to our guns? And sometimes if you know what it's all about. It's all about how highly is he on your board.
Yeah.
If he's super high on your board, then you'll maybe tolerate a little bit more than you will if he wasn't. So it's tricky. There's not a right answer.
Truthfully, the farther we get into,
but yeah,
the further we get into the Big 12, it's going to become a more common thing. Like this isn't going to be, certainly not going to be the first one that we see. It's not going to be anywhere near the last one that we see. Like this is going to be a thing that the fan base is kind of going to have to get accustomed to. They're going to be guys that do this, and that's part of being playing with the big boys, right?
It's also a very Florida thing. Like you start dipping down into Florida, and this is something that happens a lot on kids from Florida. So are you willing to play that game, or are you going to hold fast, hard and fast on if you go visit somewhere else, then we don't have a spot for you here? But where's the line? Like, can they take unofficials?
Can they go just a random Saturday? Else? Yeah, right. Random Saturday. Can I go to UCF game? Yeah.
Right. So it's a fine line that you have to. I think you end up, the way that most places end up is it depends on how good you think the kid is as to what you're willing to tolerate. Some kids you're willing to tolerate a lot more than others, right?
The fan base also gets excited about flipping season and when this team flips a kid from another school. So it goes both ways. It's not something that we're going to be on the receiving end of all the time. And it's something that we're going to get excited about when we're on the other end of it. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is in today's day and age, you don't want to piss the kid off because, say like, hey, we trust you. You can take these visits. We know you're committed here. And if he does follow through with the commitment, comes onto campus, maybe he'll remember that whole conversation about trusting him and whatnot when it comes to the end of his first year on campus. He didn't get any playing time. And then he's like, okay, I can enter the transfer portal right now. But you know what? The staff told me they trust me. They let me do what I wanted to do during the recruiting process. I'll wait it out a little bit more here. So, it's a fragile time in the sport and college sports in general. So I think the main thing is just making sure that you're always keeping the guy's best interest in mind first and foremost. And then from there, I don't know, hope they stay committed. But Ryan, I do feel you as well. It's like, okay, what you're committed, man. Let's drop it all. But I don't know. Each case is different, as they say. But yeah, those are the commitments. Yeah, and speaking of pushing for a commitment, there's obviously a couple more tweets that the staff put out after this most recent visit. Mentioning that not one but two commitments potentially on tap. One of those was Jace Mitchell. Obviously, does seem like they're pushing hard for running back Jason Peterson. In his tweet, he said, boy, oh boy, time I had this weekend in Cincinnati. I loved every minute of this trip. Go Bearcats. He has a 5 of Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Rutgers, Cincinnati, and Boston College. Anything more on the recruitment of Peterson at all, or than just another visit?
Not really yet. We'll see where things unfold from here.
But it's good to see also just the Gavin Grover and his father, Steve. What a great visit at UC. I don't know if it's possible to make a family feel more comfortable with the choice their son has made. Sincere thanks to Coach Stepp and the entire UC family. Go Bearcats. Just, further validation for what the staff has been able to do in such a short time, getting the comfortability and everything of making people feel at home and stuff like that. So another good official visit in the books this past weekend. And I guess there's one going on right now. I saw the twins, Mercer Lunitsky. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but him and Charlton, Big Chuck Lunitsky,
We don't have confirmation on the second twin yet. He hasn't posted anything.
Oh, okay. And then
would I think he's here? Yeah. Do I know that for sure yet? No. I'm waiting to hear back.
don't want to put it out there, but so was this always a planned official visit right after the official this past weekend?
I've been in Florida for 5 days, so I don't know the details on why it happened today instead of over the weekend. A lot of times it's scheduling or kid had something going on over the weekend. Could have been a multitude of things. Could have been a family vacation. Who knows? So it's not totally uncommon, especially when you're coming up to a dead period that starts on, I think, Sunday. Like you're trying right now to get the kids in that you want in,
right?
Before that dead period hits. So sometimes calendars don't work out. I don't know specifically why this one was Monday instead of over the weekend, but they got him in here before the deadline, so that's always a good place to start.
Here we go. Any more news on this weekend as well as another visit time, or is that kind of just as the wind blows?
Just kind of taking things as they happen right now.
Right. Wasn't too sure, but yeah.
I'll be back up to speed here in a day or two. It just travel days, and it wasn't like it was conducive to be making a bunch of, Sunday's usually the day you make a bunch of calls.
Yeah.
On OV weekends, and it was a little difficult to hear yesterday in the horde of people at Universal Studios. So
there we go. Anything more recruiting wise, Aaron or Ryan, when it comes to the old football program?
Nothing here.
All right. Well, let's
timestamp it.
Timestamp little football recruitment talk.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029. Reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Just was another article that Keegan put out there. We've been kind of just rehashing. By the way, shout out to Quick Paper Supply. I reached out to them over the week when you were out of town over there, Chad. But was just wanting to obviously see if I can't get going with old Nick over at Quick Paper Supply. But he's a good dude. Going to be at that June 30th Rhinegeist tap for Cincy Light. So politicking for more people heading to that. It'll be a fun event.
I'm not sure exactly what my June 30th looks like because my daughter is in a cult. So,
did you get tickets for Friday?
No, she's got tickets for Saturday, but she wants to go Friday.
Yeah,
and
sit outside and just hear it.
Yeah.
Aren't there games like FC
draw
Cincinnati
the line
and the Reds? What?
Just draw the line. No,
Aaron, there are some fights that aren't worth fighting.
I'll die on the Taylor Swift sucks hill.
And
Chelsea's
T
gonna
Swift
stab
line.
you. Like she is. The next time she sees you, she's gonna stab you.
That's fine.
Just shake it off, Aaron. It's gonna be an enchanted weekend. I tell you what. Golly.
Yeah, as Natalie said, some fights aren't winnable. I'm not going to win that fight. I'm not changing a 12-year-old girl's mind on Taylor Swift. It's not happening.
I mean, you're taking her Saturday. That should be enough.
I'm not taking her Saturday. Chelsea is taking her Saturday.
Regardless, she's going Saturday. That should be enough.
It's not.
I mean,
have you met my daughter?
Again, draw the line.
I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but is this tour by
that's
Taylor
where Huggins
Swift,
was at. Bob Huggins was at the Taylor Swift tailgate, right?
Yeah, in Pittsburgh. Yeah, we're gonna touch on that later. We've got
No, we're not.
we've got
Well,
two
I
full
just touched on it. That's it.
we've got 2 full hours on that. But see, is this the single biggest tour of our lifetimes? I mean, Chad, obviously, you probably had some biggest ones, but I mean, Aaron, Ryan, you got to think.
Aaron's out. He's not talking about Taylor.
Yeah, it's insane. She'll go do 3 shows at big cities, sell out every single one of them. People,
And there's
I know
20,000
in
people
Cincinnati,
outside every show.
yeah, just driving there, just all over, just to see her at all these different stadiums. I don't think we'll ever see anything like it.
And
I think
Aaron's
she's
in
reached
for a
that.
treat. You always think when your little girl is 1 that, we're not doing that. And then she turns 12 and then things change.
We're doing that.
Yeah, things change.
Well, hey,
I'm not spending $8,000 in Orlando for a volleyball tournament.
And here you are.
Here we are.
it's fully worth it. But I tell you what, Ryan, not only are people going, but every single one of them are singing every word of every song.
I do want to send a message to Chelsea here, live on air. Text Kelsey and ask her what she wants to do. I don't know why you're texting me. Text her. What do you think Kelsey wants to do? I don't know. She's 12. She doesn't talk to her dad. I asked her 7 questions this morning on the way to the airport, and every answer was
There you go. There you go.
I'm like, are you mute? Did you lose your voice? Can you no longer speak?
Well, Chad, reportedly you got to get Kelsey's number, so there you go. We'll work on that. Aaron is still
both twins are here, by the way, for the visit.
Okay.
I have confirmation on that.
Are in town. Yeah, it looked like 3 offensive linemen I saw were confirmed that were in town right now.
Yeah.
So probably hitting that hard for the time being. And they got to hear a couple of fireworks, including a Joey Votto Big Bang. But I think the score's tied up now, unless they
3-3 in the top of the 6th. Bases loaded, 2 outs. The Rockies threatening.
We'll see what happens. But I did want to mention, because normally we've been kind of piggybacking off of Keegan's articles regarding the current team. And the most recent article he had was just analyzing the Bearcats' replenished wide receiver room. Shouts to Keegan, doing a fantastic job here on the BCJ website for the written content. But, Ryan, we kind of mentioned it last week a little bit, just kind of how excited you are for the wide receiver revamped room. But, I mean, you take a look at it right now, and it is quite amazing to see that probably every single player not named Chris Scott will be catching their first ball as a Bearcat this upcoming fall. It's just a phenomenal kind of just overhaul of the room, but with some high-level guys, obviously D. Wiggins, Donovan Ollie, and Xavier Henderson, as well as Aaron Turner, kind of fit that bill. Have you guys remembered a flip of a room quite this drastic? Obviously, it's not something that happens with coaching changes, but
I mean, it's not that far off from the wide receiver room of
before
4 years ago.
Right.
It really isn't. And that was a little different because they basically punted the whole room except Alec.
Yeah, true.
And started over.
They tried to make him a linebacker, though.
They did try to make him a linebacker. It's always been Ryan's favorite move from the previous coaching staff. But yeah, I mean, they just went through this 4 years ago, and you produced Trey Tucker was a freshman when they reset the room, but you brought Tyler in, and Alec turned into a star, and so it's kind of similar to that.
Yeah.
Right. Maybe a little bit more drastic because there was more than one guy left.
Right.
when that happened, but ultimately, I mean, not too far off. They rebuilt that room completely from the ground up.
Trying to think of that first Fickle class. Obviously, it was a kind of different. Looks like the most that they had at one position was defensive back. They added 7 players in that defensive backfield, but still, it's kind of a different situation.
DB doesn't count anymore, man. You have to have like 15 of them. Like,
right.
You need as many. You're at a point, and think about it like this. Essentially, you're playing 5 DBs at all times now.
Yeah.
You have to recruit defensive back like you recruit offensive line.
Right.
And there's usually 3 or 4 interior guys and 2 or 3 tackle prospects in every recruiting class. I think that's how you have to look at defensive back. Is you have to recruit it like offensive line. You get as many of them as you can, and you figure out which one sticks and who doesn't and ends up in the transfer portal. But every cycle, I'm going to expect at least 5 defensive backs every cycle.
Yeah, maybe more.
That's at least. Like sometimes 6. I know at this point in time last year we were talking about they might take like 8 defensive backs because they were so hot. And also, guess what? You just produced maybe the best defensive back in the NFL.
Yep.
So DBs, even though it's a different staff, like DBs are going to look at Cincinnati and say, like, I want to go play DB there.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to play to those advantages. And you can also say, Derek Forrest, Kobe Bryant, like you're starting to stock up DBs that you can showcase as come here and be part of something that's becoming kind of a tradition.
Absolutely. B. Cook as well in there.
Yeah, B. Cook.
Ryan, was there a position that you kind of felt when you first got there, you were like, this position group's kind of not weak necessarily, but kind of, then all of a sudden by year 3 or year 2, you're like, wow, they revamped that room completely. Is it kind of just the wide receiver room fits that bill?
Wide receiver room.
Something else that you saw?
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a doubt. Because I guess when I got there, wide receiver for sure.
Yeah.
That was something they made a big emphasis on.
Which is crazy to see now because, I mean, you look at it and yes, we mentioned kind of last week, well, there's a lot of big ifs still surrounding, of course, D. Wiggins with his injury history and, a couple of other, Aaron Turner coming from UConn, Donovan Ollie, Washington State was decent, not great. Barry Jackson, obviously, true freshman. Sterling Burkhalter taking a big step up from North Carolina A&T. So there's still question marks surrounding some of the players, but still, the high level pedigree of some of them is something to really enjoy. And the fact that it all happened in 6 short months is where the excitement really lies. So we'll see what happens and how often they're utilized and the real feel there. But for the time being, that wide receiver room definitely had a U-Haul, and it had to, obviously, with the amount of departures, and it's looking solid. Aaron, anything on the wide receiver room?
I'm excited to see what these guys do in camp more than anything. I think that this is going to be as big a storyline as anything coming out of camp at this point, especially with some of the unknowns. I mean, we didn't get to see some of the guys even that were already here play in the spring game. So just, I don't know. I'm excited to see what these guys do now that we have some toys to play with, if you will.
Yep. So the off season continues as well. Phil Steele came out with his preseason All-Americans list. Obviously, we kind of touched on a couple of other preseason All-Americans. We're, listing Dante Corleone and Mason Fletcher. One interesting name joining the All Big 12 preseason. Obviously, Juwan Briggs fitting the bill there in the first team. Deshaun Pace, as expected, being mentioned as well. He was a third team All Big 12 selection. But Luke Kandra, the offensive lineman, obviously transferred from Louisville, local product, 4-team All Big 12. Interesting nod there. But if you look at the workout clips and this, that, and the other, Luke Kandra looks like an absolute beast. Looks like a tank and probably will slide in and have a massive impact in year one.
We've talked about it. I think the interior of Radosevic, Gerhardt, and Kandra is going to be very, very good. Now it's interesting because they're moving to outside zone.
Yeah.
Like, imagine how different things maybe could have been last year, or even how much better a Jerome Ford could have been if he had that as his interior offensive line.
Ryan, is with the outside zone read, is it extremely important for the interior offensive lineman to be kind of game, or is it kind of the entire offensive lineman as a whole, schematically?
You could just go with the whole line, because it's all like, if one guy doesn't get his job done, it can mess up the whole play. But it's really about getting up to those linebackers and cutting them off and walling them off from that outside flow. And that could be the front side guard or the center, getting over that backside linebacker, or that front side guard and the tackle getting up to the front side or getting over to the backside. Because if you don't get those guys walled off, I mean, it's not. They're just going to laterally just stretch the play out and be able to get more hats to the ball out in the perimeter. So it's a whole effort. Like, zone blocking it's a 5-man attack.
Natalie wants to know, Ryan, is a pulling guard scenario or is that a different scheme?
You can do it with pulling. You could do it with any. It just depends on what kind of look you want to give, how many numbers you want to get. If you want to have a different, because you can run outside zone with the quarterback. Instead of him going straight, he could go completely on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So you could bring a pulling guard for him there, backside against the read. It's just, you could do it. It applies to any scenario.
No, but in an outside zone, if it goes to the back, it's not a cutback. It's not a heavy cutback scheme. It is letting that back see which gap he's going to hit, right?
Yeah, it's basically the gap, but the gap on the right or the left of that sniper position is really what he's looking for. It's not going to be like 2 steps, stick your foot in the ground and cut back to the center or stuff like that.
That's an inside zone scheme where you've got that option.
You want to give your guys time to create lanes for you, because the change in speed based on where your blocks get, who hits who, how fast the defense going, it creates lanes. So you can't just be running blindly looking for a cutback, because those lanes develop as your blockers get out there, or if they do or do not do their assignment. So
that's pretty cool to see, though. Kandra just getting the mention, at least. He sitting out the entire spring with an injury, so good to see him kind of tearing at the weight room as well. You're giggling about something over there, Chad? Yeah.
Did you hear Ryan's crowd in the background?
No, what'd they say?
Ellie just beat out like a casual grounder to third base. He beat it by like a full step. It wasn't even close. Like, they don't even need to like take a second look. Like, he was half a stride past first base on just a routine grounder to third.
Hockey nights have now turned
not a slow roller, not like the guy. It was a routine grounder to third, catch, throw to first, and Ellie was already into the that kind of speed is just fascinating to me. It's fascinating.
So he's shown that ability to beat the first, shown the ability to beat the pitcher to first. It also shown the ability to beat the first baseman to first.
Well, remember what people I'm sorry tonight for getting off on baseball rants, but remember like when the shift started and people were like, if you just could bunt, like if you could just pick up 8 bunt hits, you raise your batting average by XXX, like whatever. You go from 260 to 284 or whatever it is. Like, this guy's already in like 3 weeks had like 5 infield singles that are outs
for anyone else.
Like just a casual out, not even like a bang bang play. Like, the guy's just out and he's running into the outfield. Like, it's fascinating to me to watch it. I'm serious.
It's an exciting thing, and hey, you know what? It is summer on the BBP, so that is Talking Reds and Ellie De La Cruz yet again on the BBP. Might get another special hit here later or something.
And, like if he does something else, I'm gonna talk about it again.
As you should. You know, it's the only college that wears the same name as the Reds do on their jerseys is the one located just right down the road there in beautiful Clifton, Cincinnati. So gotta continue to mention him if it happens. But yep, Luke Kandra,
That
awesome
was a
to see.
stretch, by the way, Brent. That was a stretch.
What's that?
That tie-in was a stretch.
Yes.
Agreed.
Anything else on the current football team? Anything else you're seeing? Obviously, it's just workouts and things going on. Have we touched base with Nico potentially for an upcoming pod?
Yeah,
Maybe
I talked to him last week. Hopefully next week. If not next week, then very soon. Nico will be back on very soon.
Gosh, I love it. Get those questions ready, Ryan. But if nothing else on the squad, you guys go ahead and timestamp the football portion.
Give me 1 second.
I think that means filibuster, Brent.
Okay. You know what? Quick paper supply timestamp, man. A lot of good things going on over there. Quick paper supply in beautiful Cincinnati.
Getting a 12-year-old to consistently take care of the puppy and the other dog while I'm.
Hey, don't take care of the dog. You're not going on Friday. Just saying.
Huh?
A week from Saturday.
Whatever day it is that to go listen outside the stadium. So ridiculous.
Oh, Aaron, you're so funny. All right, here we go. Quick Paper Supply, local owned and family restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies. Products like to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins, etc. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, reference Bearcats, for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Quick paper supply. Yes, Natalie. She asked if we talked about Q Birdsong. We did, and then it just flew away, and no more talk about it. So, bye, Birdie. Bye, Birdie. But now it's basketball.
Aaron, I don't think you understand how dangerous Chelsea is. She is going to cut you.
That's fine.
There you go.
Oh,
bye, Birdsong. Aaron should write a parenting book. I agree, Joshua. It would be probably wouldn't win, one of those bestseller awards, but it would probably be the number one in something, right, Aaron? I think you could write a good book.
Maybe.
I believe in you. But anyway, one thing I also believe in is the ability for Wes Miller to improve this basketball team and this basketball program as he has been able to do so. And back-to-back off seasons, back-to-back off seasons, if you will. But big shouts to Melvin Levitt, my man, the helicopter, getting some good footage of the squad at camp. West Miller basketball camp. Obviously, it's a showcasing what you got in front of some kids and having a good time doing it. And there's some testimonies that are saying that it's an awesome camp and turning these kids into huge Bearcat fans, which is only big shouts to the staff and everyone for putting those together. But what would you guys say is more impressive, if you will, that of some of the videos that Mel posted? Is it Sage Tolentino looking like a beast, knocking down numerous threes, finishing a bunch of flushes, or Jamil Reynolds already dropping 19 pounds and looking like his old high school self, to be honest with you? What's more impressive?
Sage.
The
pick and pop, looking comfortable, looking smooth, being able to shoot that jump shot on the pick and pop. Like, I know people are very impatient when it comes to stuff like this. but big guys take longer to develop. And I know people want it to be instant, but there's a spot for Sage Tolentino at the high major basketball level. Like it's just a matter of being patient, both for the program to be patient and Sage to be patient, to allow him to come into his body, come into his skill set. But look, man, like there's not a whole lot of guys that are 7'1" with a 7 foot plus wingspan that can step out and stretch the floor and is a really good athlete and can get up and down. And I mean, it's just not a skill set you find a lot. So when you find one and you have one in your program, you do everything you can to develop it and get it to the level that it needs to be.
Aaron, Sage Tolentino, your thoughts?
The kid saw very limited minutes last year, was able to get a red shirt because of how limited those minutes were. And I'm sure there was an injury that we didn't know about.
Absolutely.
Right. Outside of that, though, I mean, he's been kind of a great unknown since he was here. Obviously, he had some really big offers as an incoming freshman before Cincinnati was able to get him and keep him here in Cincinnati. But we're finally starting to see some maturation out of him. And I think that in between that freshman and sophomore year, or freshman and freshman
year, yeah.
and freshman year, you got to be excited to see some maturation in that window, because it's not going to be easy for him to get minutes on this team. And I know a lot of people were, like Chad kind of alluded to, people are ready to write him off, but I'm excited to see if he can develop. If so, you can't have enough depth at the big spots. We saw that last season when Vic went down. There's no such thing as too much depth at the bigs.
Yeah, and I think one of the more important things is having the ability to step outside and hit the outside shot if you have so many bigs available. And bigs that obviously aren't exhausting eligibility other than Odio Guama. So
what are we talking about, Brett? Being able to dance all the dances. Like being able to, like, if you got a team that's got a big that's a rim protector, like how think of it like this. How useful would Sage have been against Utah Valley last year? Because he would have had Aziz potentially has to come away from the basket because you got a guy that has a perimeter threat as part of his arsenal. And then you pull him away from the rim, and now that game looks a lot different.
One awesome thing as well is they mentioned numerous times that Wes mentioned in that little clip posted by Levitt is that, Sage was, as the team finished workouts and whatnot, and they were all kind of, getting, in the locker room, just getting, all done after practice and whatnot. Sage was still out there getting individual work in. Wes mentioned that, they put him through a workout of I think it was just, a lot of pick and rolls and dunking and whatnot. Mentioned that he wouldn't have been able to do that, drill last season, but he's put in the work and he's constantly in the gym trying to get better. And I mean, it's pretty evident that you can see Sage is making these improvements. And he came in last offseason. It was talks about how he came in. He already looked a lot better than he did his senior year of high school, just, built wise. And now if he's putting up this much effort and this much ability to try and continually to improve, it's only nothing but a positive. Nothing.
I agree.
But a positive. But yeah, I mean, there was that one pick and pop where he was knocking down a bunch of threes, did finish a handful of dunks. Sure, it was against Air, but you know what? I don't think any of us in this current Foursquare could really finish any dunks against Air. So shouts to Sage. I think Ryan could probably knock down a few threes like Sage is able to, but aside from that, who knows? Another quick mention though, Jamil Reynolds. Seen it a couple places listed, obviously, and Wes mentioned it again. I think N Davidson too posted it on the board that he's already dropped 19 pounds in 3 weeks. He looks in great shape, man. And when I saw this mention and heard Wes mention, that he's dropped 19, but he's also really kept up his strength and his athletic ability, it brought me back to his high school highlights that I watched when he was getting, announced to commit, transferring to Cincinnati. And if you haven't watched those yet, I highly suggest you go back and just search his name on Twitter or try and look up his high school highlights. They're phenomenal. He looks like a 5-star prospect, if you will. But Jamil dropping 19 pounds already. That's just a testament to his work ethic as well. Chad and Aaron Ryan, anything that more on Jamil's side, just I mean, already 19 down when the main thing that the staff mentioned was wanting you to get into more shape when you committed to Cincinnati.
I was going to let Ryan take it.
Yeah, I just think it shows like your commitment level. And we had guys on the team football. They tell guys to lose or gain weight, and you knew the guys who were serious because that was trending right away. And the coaches really appreciate that. I'm sure that translates exactly to what's going on the basketball team. I mean, I love seeing it. It just shows a guy who's about his business and he's taking it seriously, and it shows just how good the training staff is too on the basketball side, that they're able to have a great plan for him, and he's executing it, and it's doing everything that you want it to do.
I wonder how much of it is kind of that same iron sharpens iron mentality where it's the guys are looking around the room of the bigs, and while Sage is not the highest touted player, we've seen the footage of Sage maturing. Jamil is looking around and seeing Aziz here now. I'm like, all right, I got some work cut out for me. He was not supposed to be here when I signed up for this. And then you have Vic, who we've seen Vic, and we're wondering if he's going to also take a step forward here in this offseason. So I don't know. I mean, I would think that there's got to be some element to that as they look around the room and they see the skill level has elevated since all of these guys came on board.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. Jamil finished a windmill dunk. In his times that we played him against when he was at Temple, I don't think I would ever imagine that big fella throwing down a windmill dunk, and here he was, just making it look pretty simple.
Yeah, it's one thing to do it in practice. It's not.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't even think he could do it in practice from what we saw out of the guy.
I bet he could.
I mean, it's fascinating to see, but it's going to be fascinating to know how they're going to control this, 5 fives, if you will, what kind of rotation. Because also you saw Vic was also named, the what was it, the Monster of the Week, or whatever they call it. Yeah, the Monster of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
Like Mike Rayfeld gave him that. So it's how are they going to make this work? What rotation there in the post? Because I mean, these are 5 players that, if Sage is making the moves that he's making, trying to improve his game day in, day out, I mean, if he needs to somehow get in the rotation, I'm not saying obviously it's going to happen right away, but I guess it's a luxury to have. Chad, anything you're hearing about all these big men? I mean, 5 of them.
I haven't heard anything new since last week.
Well, your thoughts? Well, yeah, I mean, but.
Look, man, they had us up doing like a putt golf team event at 10 a.m. when we got done at the gym from 10:30 the night before, and then there were beers to drink by the pool, and you go to bed at a not so great hour, and then you're up at a putt course at
right
10 a.m. There wasn't much happening. Aaron and I tried to organize a couple nightcaps this week, and finally I was just like, look, man, I can't, I'm not. Aaron's like, I'm in bed by 11. I'm like, I'm back at the hotel by 10:30.
Yeah. I was waiting for your text about a nightcap. You never hit me up.
But once you're in it, like if we would have had the morning wave,
right, Natalie,
a bunch of content.
Natalie, poor Chad, having to putt and then drink beers by the pool.
I putt, but you got to get your kid up. You got to get him out the door. Kelsey was not happy about it. We had there was a place there called Egg Salente that was like an egg place, and they had this Spanish breakfast that was like braised beef and this like Spanish marinade with 2 over easy eggs and home fries. It was maybe a top 10 breakfast I've ever had. So I didn't mind getting up that morning,
Right.
and going to breakfast. But like, there's no time for rest at these things, Brent. There's no time for rest. You're always doing something.
Yeah, I hear you.
And what am I going to tell these parents that I've become friends with? Look, I'm sorry, but I've got to go content. They would think less of me.
Yeah. I think you did the right thing in these dog days of summer. So,
yeah.
So
it's a couple days off. It's fine. It's
working out. But I mean, we'll have plenty more convos about how Odie, Sage, Vic, Jamil.
There's still a whole month of June
and Aziz
for workouts and everything coming. So it's
yeah.
We got a lot of content coming.
Another thing in the videos obviously was saying CJ Frederick knocked down a handful of threes. I mean, it all against air, so it is what it is. But I mean, it's just exciting seeing the new faces.
Really shoot.
Yeah,
he can really shoot.
Looked like Jizzle and Rayvon working on their mid-range game. I mean, it's a lot of excitement just brewing around the whole entire program. And it is funny to hear. I saw someone writing about it on the board, was the fact that in any other season, two commitments of Jizzle and Rayvon's caliber, we'd be talking a lot about how are they going to be starting? Are they going to be one of the top 2 or 3 players on the team next year? But instead, we're talking about how are they going to piece out a role on the team, because there's so many players.
Jizzle's going to have a major role.
Well, Jizzle, yeah, for sure. But
Ray's got his work cut out for him. There's a lot of veterans on the wing. I think he's going to play. Like I'm not saying I think he's not going to play, but he's got his work cut out for him. He's got some guys that are going to be critical factors to the team ahead of him.
As we mentioned, it's all good things. There was some. That's the current team. Obviously, there's a lot more to be discussed in that front. But Tyler McKinley obviously was in the USA basketball tryouts, and there was some glowing reviews of him. Tyler McKinley looked good. The structure of his setting is ideal for him. It is indicative of how well his game should translate at the next level, how well he operates in the offensive structure. Specifically, his passing ability really stood out as he moved the ball from the high post and made some high-level finds with his back to the basket. McKinley obviously going to be at Link down there, and beautiful. We've given so much pub to Branson, Missouri on this podcast. I think Branson needs to start.
Branson, like the city council of Branson, should be a sponsor of this podcast.
They need to sponsor us, and maybe I can open up a brunch joint down there that has endless mimosas or something. Gosh, for crying out loud. But we've already mentioned the transfer of Jasper Johnson to Link, but now it came out that LeBaron Philon will be also transferring to Link.
LeBaron Philon.
LeBaron Philon will also be transferring to Link. Those are 2 targets that the staff is after, both now going to join McKinley down there at Link.
I think Jasper probably a lot more realistic. LeBaron is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
That's going to be a tough one. A kid from Alabama, heart of SEC country. It's going to be tough to get him out of SEC country. But both are really good, man. Again, we talked about Jasper Johnson after I was at the EYBL Memorial Day weekend, and he scored 12 points in 2 minutes. That's hard. That's hard to do in an empty gym.
Yep.
If you're just running 5 on air and a guy scores 12 points in 2 minutes, he has, and I know he's gonna probably long term be a point guard. And he mentioned to Keegan that D'Angelo Russell was kind of like the guy that has been helping mentor him and a guy that he has really looked up to. I can see a little bit of similarity in their game, but I never saw D'Angelo Russell heat up from 3 like I've seen Jasper Johnson already in one weekend. Just put a game away. That game that he scored 12 in 2 minutes, that was a tight game. And then it was 17 points in the blink of an eye. And it wasn't anything crazy. It was just he was in the right spot, and he put the ball in the bucket again and again and again and again. Like it. No, Natalie, don't try to knock my putt game. Come on now.
It's pretty
Come
good.
on. I grew up right by the putt in Erlanger, which is like old school competition level putt course. I can putt.
Little
I can't play
putt-putt.
golf for shit, but I can putt.
We need to get on the links.
I had when I played. This is why I stopped playing golf, Brent. I have the
Okay.
rare ability to hit every club the same distance.
Interesting.
Like I can hit driver, but every iron was like 140 yards. Every one of them. There was no differential in what iron I hit. I could hit a 2 iron. I could hit a 9 iron. They were going 140 yards.
Yeah. I mean,
Oh.
golf is a tough game. But speaking of tough games, I mean, it's a tough game to go against a Lexington kind of homer, if you will. Is his family has direct ties there in Jasper Johnson.
So his dad was the first player in the state of Kentucky, and I think the only player in the state of Kentucky high school football history to be all-state as an 8th grader. And then they changed like the way that works. His dad was all-state as an 8th grader in football.
They're like, sorry, you can't be playing football in 8th grade at the high school.
No, you still can. I think you just can't be all-state anymore.
Right. True.
You got to be in high school to be all-state. So he went to Kentucky. They live in Wofford County, which is right outside of Lexington. Like, if Kentucky pushes, it's going to be a challenge to get Jasper Johnson. But Cincinnati was his first offer.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've done a great job recruiting the kid. I think his dad really likes the staff. I think, there is a developing history. He is going to be at Linkier Prep with Tyler McKinley, who's already in his ear and is going to continue to be in his ear. Do I think it's likely Cincinnati gets Jasper Johnson? No, but they have done everything you can possibly do to be in the conversation. And for a kid like that, that's really difficult. And I think, here's the thing, I think this is another kid that Wes and staff got in on before the rise to the upper echelon portions of the rankings, because he has continued to be excellent all spring, now into the summer, at Pango's camp, like at USA basketball. Like, he's a guy that's got everybody's attention right now.
And I mean, in Keegan's article, it was mentioned that right when the clock struck midnight, sure enough, there was Wes and the staff holding to their promises, being the first staff to reach out to him. So
look, Wes doesn't go out without a fight in these situations. Yeah. And he, once again, is not going out without a fight. And this kid is really good. Like, that team Thad, now Jaden Quintons, I think that's how you say his last name. Yeah. He was at USA basketball under 16s.
Right.
Late Memorial Day weekend. So I haven't seen him yet, but I would say Jasper Johnson is the best prospect on a team with 6 high major prospects.
Yeah.
Including LeBaron File, who I liked a lot. Like, I argued with myself most of that weekend. I was going back and forth between watching Jace Richardson and LeBaron Philon, like every window, because they basically have 2 windows a day. You have 4 games this window, 4 games this window. Like, which one do I think is better? I'm still not sure. But man, like, and the hardest part about why I'm not sure is because LeBaron Philon played on a team with just so many dudes.
Right.
And Jace had good talent on his team, but it wasn't anything like I think Team Thad is probably the favorite to win the Peach Champ.
Yeah.
That ain't easy. So
I mean, the best thing about it as well is the fact that these guys are 25 and Jace is 24, so they
Yeah.
can still lock Jace down.
There
in
are
24
some
class.
rumors about Jasper.
Yeah.
There's some rumors that he's got the ability to jump to 24 if
Okay.
he wants to. If he wants to.
Right.
We did this last year. We had these conversations last year about somebody else.
And you know, it is interesting because on his profile it says, oh, I guess that's just experience at Link would be 2023 to 24. I mean, I don't know. Kind of makes it sound like what class is he in type thing, but who knows? Yeah. So that'll be another interesting thing to track right there. Another mention, of course, was the fact that the staff, Wes was out. Wes and Coach Adams were again checking out one Flory Badunga this past weekend. Now the talks are that a Duke official visit is set up for tomorrow. I imagine he was. Then there's other mention that he's going to take an Indiana official visit after that. Still, so the Flory sweepstakes continues, and Chad. So far, it's you know, the talks of him committing to Duke almost immediately have kind of tempered a bit, but still,
we'll
there's
see.
a chance.
I mean, let's see what this week brings. He's visiting Duke tomorrow.
Exactly. And
so let's see where things go.
If they push heavy, who knows? But word is that he's going to also try to take an IU official afterwards.
Very interesting that John Shire was not in Indy.
Right. And word is he was checking out another center, or at least that's what someone on the board was saying. So
he was at another event. I'm sure there was another center there. Like, I don't know enough about Duke to know. He could have been there looking at their number one target on the board.
Right.
And just happened to watch another center while he was there. Like, I don't have enough information to really quantify that. But they weren't in Indy. He had an assistant there. Sometimes that works against schools. Like, where's the head coach?
Wes and
you really
Drew
want him. Where's the head coach?
Yeah. So not going down with the fight is without a fight is definitely a way to put it. There was another offer put out, Jason Nathaniel from Buford, Georgia. I love his tape. Actually, it looks like he kind of I don't know. It looks like he can kind of get a lot done. Looks like he's only slowly getting better and better. Long, athletic, good size. So he's out of Buford, Georgia. Obviously, that's a bit of a hotbed for the staff.
I know they were down in. Staff was also down in Georgia. Georgia had a huge. So June is high school events, or like showcases, and Georgia had a massive showcase. Staff was also there, and that's when that offer came out. Was after watching it play.
There we go.
Look, I will never question prioritizing guys that get shit done.
Yeah.
If you can rebound and get some buckets and run the floor and defend multiple positions and show some versatility with size and athleticism, I'll never question an offer going out to a dude that gets shit done.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you know what? If there's a staff that knows how to recruit Georgia and try and get something out of there, it's definitely this Bearcat staff. So, offer was extended. We'll see what more happens with that recruitment, and then of course, you know, another Bryson Tiller mentioned, a few other names mentioned in that those classes. So
they ain't shy.
No,
Wes ain't shy.
No, he is not. There's one staff that's taking advantage of this Big 12 jump. It's definitely Wes Miller in the squad. So a lot of excitement brewing on that. I mean, Bryson Tiller's another Georgia prospect. He's fourth in the country, and the composite fifth for 247.
Yeah.
So
the thing with Bryson Tiller, you recruit him, but all indications are that it will be a lot of people really surprised if he plays college basketball.
Right.
Overtime elite or one of the non-traditional routes to the NBA has always seemed to be But we have seen guys that like early in their careers that was the feeling, and then things changed and they ended up at college, which is why you keep your hat in the ring, which is why you continue, to keep doing the work.
And Georgia Connect is there again. So that's it's gonna be a lot of excitement flowing from what the staff continues to do on the recruiting front. Any other names, Chad, or is that kind of what we got
Not
for
right
now?
That's it for now. I mean, it's always interesting because coaches get back from these events and then meet on Monday and kind of work through what's next, and then you might hear a little bit throughout this week. I think this weekend is off, and then next weekend they're out again. I think that's what it is. They might be out again this weekend. I don't know. I think they might be out again this weekend.
Okay.
The 24th.
And then back just 25th. In time for the Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah, and then they're off, but actually, like, things start right after, like, where 4th of July falls this year. I think July 5th.
Yeah.
Starts the next AAU open period. So, busy couple weeks still upcoming when it comes to the development of the 24 class.
Boom. All right. Let's go ahead and timestamp this one right here, unless Aaron or Ryan, any more basketball front wise?
No. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, providing a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases. You know what I think we need?
What's that?
I think we need like a Quick Paper Supply, Low Miller Real Estate, like product line, so that when you show houses, you've got your own cups, maybe like a wine glass with Low Miller Real Estate. We need to work on something, sis.
Okay.
Well, let's give her a proper introduction, Chad.
Go ahead.
Adrian Henson sponsors the Yo Adrian segment. That's brought to you by Low Miller Real Estate. You can reach her at 859-444-8159 for your free home evaluation. You can also reach her at A Henson at Low Miller Real Estate. That's LOHMILLER realestate.com, or at Adrian L. Henson at iCloud.com.
Pitch the Reds thing. We need to get some excitement on this Reds thing.
Yes. So I have bought the tickets for. I have 2 tickets and a parking pass and a food voucher for anyone that will call. And basically, I just need 2 contacts for someone who may be looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. So if your neighbor or if you have a family.
So if I enter and I send you Royer's name, can I win?
Well, not necessarily, because I mean, obviously, if you're the only one, if you're the only one that's called, or you're the only one that has emailed me or text me, I guess you would be in the running.
Okay, let's go.
So
Royer,
I need
some
people. Yes.
And there's no more excitement around the rest of what's going on right now.
Ryan,
well, you got to get in, or else you're going to let
right.
me win by default. I think it's about time for Ryan to buy his own house. He works for GE. He's an engineer. Like, he's a big boy. Time for Royer to get a crib, and he to get some free Reds tickets for my sister.
Yes.
Or you could try to get Aaron back home and to live in God's country here in Northern Kentucky.
Not ever living in Kentucky.
Lock it down, Aaron.
Everyone would wonder why I was wearing shoes.
Okay.
I don't have shoes on right now.
Hillbilly.
This very moment.
Oh my god.
Nailed it. So we had to dip back into the Yo Adrian segment from a couple weeks ago because it's been a little light in the Yo Adrian questions.
She's not giving the people juicy enough details about me, so they're not asking
Bored
too
with
many
me.
questions. Yeah.
But the question I did decide to pick, I think you can probably have a little bit of fun with this, Adrian. Assuming Kelsey meets a young man and starts to date him, and he's just like Chad in his teen years, how much trouble is Chad in?
I would say I don't think he's going to have so much trouble with Chad. Kelsey will probably stand around.
No. So the question is, how much trouble am I in if the guy is just like me as a teenager?
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Don't forget those teen years do range all the way from 13 to 19.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
and I was not good for any of those years.
Yeah, she's going to have her hands full if that's the case.
Yeah. We're gonna have to question her judgment.
Yeah, but I don't think that. I think that she'll pick a good one. I've got faith in her.
She hasn't gone boy crazy yet.
Not that you are aware of.
No, I keep a pretty good track on things. I would know if it was starting, and it hasn't started yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of lying that starts around those times, and back in those days, I lied pretty effectively. You know what my go-to move used to be, right?
What?
This is before caller ID.
Oh boy.
So I used to live in the back of my house. Like there, I had a.
I'm curious if we had the same move here.
I had a space in the back of my house, and Barry, my dad, was in the front of the house. Like we were pretty disconnected from each other. So I had a door, like in my bedroom. I had a door to the outside. So I would leave, and then I would call my house, and my dad would pick up the phone, and I would say, "I got it," and he would say, "Chad, you need to have people stop calling this late." And I would be like, "My bad, man. I'll tell her not to call this late anymore." And he would be like, "Go to bed." And I would be like, "Okay, I'm sorry." And then he would hang up and think that I was in the back room of the house when actually I was out gallivanting around, just trying to make sure that the gig wasn't up. And I came home and he was going to be ready to kill me.
See, I thought you were going to go with I had to call the weather, which was a thing that people had to do back in the day. If you wanted the weather, you could actually call a phone number and it would give you the weather update. And so if I was going to have somebody call late at night, I'd call the weather first and then click over as I was waiting for the weather and the time.
No, that's a good one. Back when call waiting first became a thing.
Yeah.
What?
I was just already out of the house. Like I was already with the person that was calling me, making sure that my dad wasn't on to me and that I had a little bit more time to get back home. And he is never happy when I tell that story. But
Yes, I think you had Nate in a part of that as well.
oh yeah, there's a reason that this is not Ask Nate. We're not asking Nate questions. I corrupted that poor boy at a very young age. He would not be good for this podcast. I would be canceled very quickly for the things that my 3 years younger than me brother saw when being 3 years younger than me.
One of these weeks we'll have him just waiting in the lobby, and then
Oh no!
And then we'll say,
no,
"Aaron, play that music," and then
I will hit in broadcast faster than you guys can blink.
And then here comes Nate.
He's more corrupt than Chad, I promise.
Oh yeah. We don't like. It's a bad business decision to have Nate on this podcast. Bad business. He would put his head in the fan, Royer. Today, he would put his head in the fan. No questions asked.
I'm down too.
Whole fan ain't in this podcast.
Natalie wants to know, Adrian, if you buy a house, do you get a 1 free replacement ceiling fan per year?
You know, I could probably work out something along those lines.
Oh,
It
Nate
depends.
After Dark.
I would
It's
actually have to put a cap on that, but I could maybe do something like that.
Ryan and his friends used to put their heads in ceiling fans in college.
We can make that happen. Will they do it now?
His little brother almost died.
Oh no. That's terrible.
It was just a quick trip to Children's.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Couple stitches, back out. You know what it is.
Oh my God.
Ready for round 2.
That sounds like something Chad would have done to me as a kid.
I would not have put you in a ceiling fan.
You might have. I think you might have.
Nate, I would have put in a ceiling fan.
I think you both would have put me in the ceiling fan.
We might have done that. Okay, together we might have decided, let's see what happens when you put your sister in a ceiling fan. That might, yeah, okay. I could see that.
Yeah.
Especially in the haunted house. We lived in a haunted house when we were little.
Yeah. Because I was always much smaller than you guys.
Yeah. And the ghost was what made you drive the tractor through the front door.
No, that was Nate. That was Nate's fault.
If that doesn't give you people ammunition for questions for next week, I don't know what will. Good Lord.
She did drive a tractor through the house, kind of.
Well, it didn't quite go through the house.
It didn't go all the way through, but it did some damage.
It was only like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be driving a tractor at 3 or 4. Goodness.
Yeah, there's some stories out there. That's why we have Adrian and not Nate, though.
Yeah.
Nate don't give them the stories.
Yeah. I've got clean stories.
That's so funny. Somebody called you a petulant child, Aaron. Why do you keep that petulant child on your program? Harold is not a fan.
I've been called worse.
It is what it is.
Harold.
All right, sis.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
So I do actually need some help. I need people to call in or send me a message and give me, at least one contact for somebody that might be looking to buy or sell. That way I can give away these tickets. I don't want to have to open it up on my Facebook. So
actually, we might be looking to buy or sell. So could one of these 3 refer me to you, and then they win the Reds tickets?
That won't work. that won't quite work, Chad.
Why? Because you already have my number?
That's correct. There's that loophole.
Fine. We'll see you next week.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.
Yeah.
And again, don't forget, you can reach her at 859-444-8159 for your free home evaluation. Also at ahenson@lowmillerrealestate.com or at adrianlhenson@icloud.com.
Look, get those referrals in and go to the Reds game for free. The Reds are fun as hell right now.
Yo, Adrian, yeah. I did want to mention real quick before we hop in the mailbag, obviously the hiring of Jordan. Are we going to go with Bischel? Jordan Bischel as the head coach of the baseball team. Comes from Central Michigan. Averaged 44 wins per season. Took Central Michigan to the NCAA tournament 3 straight years. Seems like a really good hire. One of those, step up for the MAC going to now the Big 12. Big hire, it seems like. And anything more you guys have been able to dig through or hear or find out? 177-80 during Bischel's tenure there.
He's a really interesting guy. He didn't play college baseball. He's not someone that came from the traditional ladder of what baseball coaches are all about. But the guy made 3 regionals in 4 years at Central Michigan? First, second, first, I think, were his finishes in the MAC. Like, you're a baseball program that needs a spark, that needs some excitement. And this is a guy that, at least for what he did at his last stop, has provided that excitement. Now, how does it play in the Big 12? Like, we don't know. We don't know how anything plays in the Big 12 yet. But I like kind of the thinking of John Cunningham and his staff, a guy that is familiar with the region, has won a shit ton of games, and, potentially is somebody that can take this program into a different stratosphere than where they are right now. That part's important.
Seems like he's it's a when you take teams to NCAA tournament appearances, even it is just winning the MAC, obviously, that's where you show the ability to you can turn a program, you can start to win, and you can reach the highest level of competing for championships. And I think when it comes to baseball, that's a good way to do it. And so, have records of most victories in a season, this, that, the other. So it's he won MAC head coach of the year. So you search his name on Twitter, a lot of people are saying, great, hire. This is an awesome hire. This, that, and the other. So it's a really awesome thing.
I think the program clearly needs a jolt. They need something. They need some kind of spark that gets them over the hump.
Yeah.
That they haven't been able to find. So maybe going out and getting a guy like this that has won a ton at the level he's at, can provide that kind of spark.
I agree. All right, Aaron, hit us with the old mailbag, brother.
All right. Mailbag's a little light this week.
Dog days of summer, baby.
It is the dog days of summer. So we will start off in the football portion of the mailbag. And getting started here. Are we done in the transfer portal, or is there another window that opens up?
So for graduate transfers, the window is always open. Like, you can go in as a graduate transfer whenever you want. The window for traditional transfers is closed. There are still players that are in the portal that have not found a home, players that have already gone in and have not found a home that are out there. Maybe you can try to find a diamond in the rough there, or you can find a guy that, they're going through summer workouts right now. Maybe you find somebody that's not happy, that's a graduate transfer that you can, get to pop. So it's not closed, but there's not a lot of meat left on the bone right now.
All right. Seeing rumors of Prater switching over to wide receiver, what are realistic expectations for him at wide receiver? Is he an immediate contributor on the two deep, or would this be more of a long-term development project?
We talked about this last week. There's no guarantee that he is transitioning to wide receiver. What's happening right now is he has a shoulder injury that is preventing him from playing quarterback through this summer workout window. So he's getting some work at wide receiver to kind of see what it looks like. And that is the smart thing to do in this situation. The other alternative is he just stands there, right? Like, that's Ryan. That's the other alternative, right? A quarterback with a shoulder injury to his throwing arm, he's not going to be able to do anything in summer workouts. So why not see if there may be some magic? That worst case scenario, his shoulder gets better, he goes back in the quarterback room, but you've developed some gadgetry, some new toys to play with in your offense. Maybe he ends up there long term, maybe he doesn't, but that's what's happening right now. It's not like this is hard and fast, Evan Prater's a wide receiver. It is, let's play with some things and see where we're at.
Yeah, I think it's just, you never know how bad that shoulder can be, and there might be somewhere next year. He's still not still might not be able to throw no matter how much rehab he does. So it's kind
Right.
of good to just give him an opportunity and see what he can do with it.
I concur.
I know from talking to people this summer, he was at the point by the bowl game where he couldn't complete his throwing motion. So if you're maybe curious as to why things kind of look like they did, he was hiding it from the coaching staff, but he wasn't able to fully play quarterback like he can play quarterback. So, we'll see. We'll see if it's permanent. Realistic expectations if he moves to wide receiver are a little different right now because they've gone out and added some dudes I think that can help. And now you've got some depth that you probably didn't expect by the time you got through spring practice. What's the nature of the injury? He has a shoulder, like his shoulder's messed up. That's the nature of the injury. They don't like to give out it could be hockey. He has an upper body injury. He has a lower body injury. Right now, we know he has a shoulder injury.
What was the most annoying storyline from last year about the football team?
Ben Bryant.
I think
God, I couldn't stand it.
there was another annoying one to me, which was the running back situation. I felt like
the kind of thing was a bit annoying.
I thought that kind of got a little weird.
Hometown hero movement thing. Yeah.
I think you'll run into some of that though when you have the hometown guys staying home.
Yeah.
They were both Mr. Football in Ohio. Like everybody wants to know, like where are they at? Why aren't they playing? We landed Mr. Football. They should be a star.
All right, I think we're all on the same page then. Moving on to the basketball portion of the mailbag. Moving pretty quick. These questions are pretty much the same, so I'm going to ask both of them at the same time. We'll get through this really quick, I'm sure. Any potential transfers from West Virginia? They had a good haul in the portal. And is there anyone on West Virginia's roster that we were finalists for that would fit the needs of this roster if people start entering the transfer portal with Huggins gone? Well, Chad is refusing to answer any of these questions.
The one guy that would be the guy took a little hiatus.
No.
Why don't we get Huggins back?
Yeah, he could be a good recruiting coordinator.
Welcome to the nightcap. Brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken right here on BearcatJournal.com.
Unbelievable.
If I'm John Cunningham, I'm calling Bob Huggins.
I'll keep doing it. I'm not scared.
No, I think that answers the question.
Moving on.
There was a lot of money spent on those guys, and
a lot.
I don't know that the king of the West Virginia gas stations is going to be paying for those guys to go to UC. So
maybe.
All right,
we'll see.
Last month, Bearcat Nation received news that the coveted center Aziz Bandiago would be joining the program. This one's a long one. Shortly after learning that four-year combo guard Mike Adams would be entering the transfer portal, while the majority of UC fans applaud this indirect player swap, me included, it has left us without any D1 experienced scholarship point guards on this winter's roster. Wes has been on record stating he prefers having at least four players available who can play the one, which brings the following questions. Can our two new experienced point guards produce in the Big 12? Who will back them up to get to that four-man point guard threshold?
We'll see.
Hasn't Seamus?
Yeah, we've talked about that. Seamus has gotten not necessarily looks at point guard, but looks at initiating offense in the half court. Yeah, like a point forward type deal, where you're not outletting the ball to Seamus to run the fast break, but when you get in the half court, he is a guy you can give the ball to and say, we're going to play you in the high pick and roll. We're going to play you off ball screens, and you can be effective. Yeah. So that's kind of where they're at. I think CJ could do some of that as well if necessary.
There's your 4.
I'm not ruling it out. I've said long ago, like, I'm not ruling out that they go get a guard before August or September. What I am saying is I think that they want to find out where they're at through June and July with what they have, and then make a determination from there. Do we need to maybe put one more spot dedicated to that? And there are a lot of factors as to whether or not that's possible. So right now, there's nothing that seems like it's, iron in the fire, heating up, anything like that. But I do think it is, it's something you have to continue to monitor until you don't, I guess is a good way to put it.
Yeah, and I know obviously DDJ and Micah had a lot more experience last season, but I mean when Rob was hurt for that long extended time, there was never truly a game where an additional point guard was needed. I get the concern if maybe just wasn't ready, or Day isn't quite up to the level needed, but I don't necessarily see much of an issue of if it does get to a certain point, just having Dan or Seamus or someone just bring the ball up the court and then just initiate the offense from there, and go from there. I mean, it's just very rarely did I feel the need for an additional point guard on the roster when Rob was out with an injury. So that part's done, but it's more of a can Jizzle or Day or a combination of both be ready by the time Big 12 rolls around.
All right. As excited as we
let's let Chelsea giving Ryan some love for the hugging stuff. Funniest thing ever. Bravo, man. Respect.
I thought I've said funnier on this podcast, but thanks.
It's still, you're not on the boards, so you don't know the stuff that's been happening on the message boards. And they're all related to that. Like the angle that you hilariously took. Oh yeah. No, it's real. There's a thread on the message board titled, should we bring Huggins back? And it's serious. Yeah.
Oh, we should have him help him coach football or something.
So
get him on the O-line.
I mean, we all know who Ryan's burner is now on the board, by the way.
Yeah, we figured it out.
They've exposed me, man.
All right. As excited as we all are to join the Big 12, why does it seem West Virginia fans are kind of sour about being there?
Because they haven't won.
One podcast I listened to compared their offer to the Big 12 as a dinghy, and they deserved a better offer somewhere else.
They haven't won.
That's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see how it pays off.
Like, that's why, right? Like, we should, like, we got our lifeline, but it wasn't, the boat that saved us took 4 hours to get back to shore instead of 2. We should have been on the 2-hour boat. Like, of course they're mad. They've been middling.
Why would they be doing anything else in any other conference?
And they've had nobody. Like, the other thing is they've also had they're like, we thought Memphis being the closest team was like a big deal. West Virginia, like, you ever been to Lubbock? It's hard. It's hard. How are you supposed to drink when you got that far to get home?
Jesus.
I mean, and also, like you said, I'm sure looking back, they're pretty doggone happy they didn't have to roll into the AAC and they're
right
in the Big 12.
Well, no, but actually they're probably not. They're probably like, we would have killed that conference and then taken the boat to somewhere else.
You would have been killed in the conference, as we all have been.
But that's how fans think.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they thought they were in Columbus.
It's just delusion. It's all delusion. With the 2025 contact period starting last Thursday, we've seen a lot of names mentioned. I imagine guys like Jasper Johnson, Jalen Reese, Jaden Quintance, and Malachi Moreno are names that stick out now. Anyone else you would add at this time? We kind of talked about that a little bit, and I imagine if there's any other names, probably would need to check out the boards.
I'll give you a couple.
Feeling generous today.
Desmond Briscoe, big man from Indianapolis. Nico Bundalo, big man from Ohio. Davion Hanna, who his brother played at Bradley and was recruited by Drew Adams. And Caleb Wilson, another name that we haven't mentioned much, that I would add to the list of 2025 guys to keep an eye on early, outside of Jasper Johnson, Jalen Reese, Jaden Quintance, Malachi Moreno. Quaintance. I think Quaintance is the way it's spelled or pronounced.
Looks like Quintance.
I think it's Quaintance.
It's French.
Okay.
All right. Will there ever come a time when fans stop trying to bounce existing Bearcats off of this roster in favor of unknown potential upgrades?
Nope.
Fan is short for fanatics.
We run them, like, ultimately at the core, we run a message board where people can just randomly post their thoughts anonymously without their name tied to it. The thing to do when you are doing that is to kick guys off the roster and bring in somebody else to replace them. That's message board life.
Well, it happens in every other.
Yeah, it's not unique to us. Like, that's how sports goes.
I mean, even Kansas talks about the 13th guy on our roster is taking up a spot. We could have gone and gotten LeBron James. I mean, it's just like
LeBron James.
You mean Bronny?
No,
LeBron
James.
like the LeBron James. Still,
Oh, because he still has four years of eligibility left.
He's
got him.
All right, that's the end of the basketball mailbag. The last portion of the mailbag, the banks. There's only one question. It's rapid fire, so of course it'll take us 10 minutes. What is harder to say? I love you for the first time, putting yourself out there, or Worcestershire sauce?
It's Worcestershire sauce.
We see Aaron
Worcestershire.
tell a lot of girls that he loves her, but Worcestershire.
Pain.
Wash your sister sauce, I think some people call it.
Oh, yikes!
Yeah, weird.
Great for Bloody Marys.
There's a company out there that I haven't tried it yet. I'm told it's really good. They just call it W sauce.
Called what?
Ryan, what's going on at your house, bro?
Party.
The Reds won. So
Reds
they're
won.
They did win.
jumping
He has put
around.
runners on first and third with no outs in a one-run game and got out of it. Yeah.
It's called
supposed
W.
to be rapid fire, but telling somebody you love them for the first time, that's awful. That's awful.
You never know how it's going to be received.
Yeah, it's awful.
But I mean, let's be honest. A drunken night, you might just let it slip out.
Yeah, but she'll never forget it. It might be okay to you, but how it's perceived to her, she's never going to forget that.
Brent does things different. He's feeling good. There's been a wedding because it was only the 13th this year.
I just say
he's been in 12 of them with the same girl.
I love you. I love you.
Or it's the one outlier where there was a random bridesmaid that he was like, I love you.
I mean,
while they're playing the cha-cha slide.
Yeah, exactly.
Favorite open world game?
Zelda.
I want to go off script a little bit here. It was Grand Theft Auto for a while. Spider-Man.
Wow.
I don't play a lot of open worlds. I don't know if
They've got like a GTA feel to it.
What, Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I mean, you sling all over the entire city of New York. It's
Oh.
just you're web slinging instead of in a modded vehicle of some sort.
Okay.
You're not shooting people. You're hitting them with spider webs and punch and kick and pow and kapow, wham.
Kapow! I watched some people play the Spider-Man open world games. They look fun. I never played.
It's good. It's a really good game. I'm looking forward to the second one.
Yeah.
GTA for me.
And then best Batman.
Val Kilmer.
Who'd you say?
Val Kilmer.
Christian Bale.
That was dark, man.
It was.
But I do think I kind of liked Pattinson in the new one.
Another
I haven't seen the
dark
new
one.
But the Dark Knight movies were better.
Oh man, the Dark
The new
Knight
one's
is
really
a phenomenal viewing experience.
If you like Dark, Chad, you'll like the Batman that just came out.
Well, George Clooney was.
I'm more of a comedy guy.
Yeah.
George Clooney was the worst. Ben Affleck.
Mr. Freeze.
Ben Affleck was the second worst.
Affleck was great.
No, get out of here. I'm with Royer.
Fuck out of here.
I'm with Royer.
Fuck
Christian Bale for me.
Michael Keaton was really good.
Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's in the new Flash movie as Batman.
I don't watch movies.
Yeah, I'm into that pop culture stuff, man.
I walked through Marvel World yesterday. I had no idea what was going on.
That's the mailbag.
I didn't know anything. I was just like, where do I fill up my water cup? Can I get some ice water in this fucking cup before I melt in this park? That was all I could do. And then here's how little people think of what we do. Like what this is as a job. So Kelsey was with one of her teammates, and her and her teammate's dad rode the Hulk. And I got a phone call that UC was announcing a baseball coach. This is at like 12:30. So I find a spot. There's like a cafe, it's air conditioning. I found a table. I'm sitting there. I'm calling Keegan. I'm contacting Jenel. We're organizing the thing, and I get word that it's going to go live at 1:25. So at 1:10, my daughter, her friend, and this girl's dad, who's military, he's got a real job, for real job. And I'm on my phone, and I'm like doing my thing, and he's like, "Hey, my wife and my daughter are down here. I'm gonna go hang out with them. Can you take the girls back to the Velocicoaster? They want to ride the Velocicoaster before we leave and go over to Universal." And I was like, "Yeah, but UC's about to hire a baseball coach in 12 minutes, and I need to kind of I'm working right now." And he was like, "Okay, buddy, thanks, appreciate you," and he left. And the girls were like, "Let's go," and I was like, "Well, I guess I'm doing this on the hoof to the Velocicoaster."
You got.
I know. He's just like, "Okay, sure, buddy. You got to work. That's great."
Get us out of here, Brent.
God damn. Anything else? Anything else from you guys? Any final crumbles?
No.
Nothing.
The puppy is rubbing up against my leg, so she's probably got to go to the bathroom.
Let's go, Reds.
How about them
Big
red
win.
legs?
9 in a row. I'm on
America's
radio
team.
tomorrow, 3 to 6. ESPN
America's
1530.
America's team, baby. But hey,
America's team.
you know what?
I hate that nickname.
Are you guys going to get Marty Brenneman on the show to discuss the win streak?
No.
How about we do a Marty Brenneman, Bob Huggins call in on this?
Okay. Now we're talking. Now that is
Chad's
the
ready.
dog days of summer right there. That is the dog days of summer. Well, as Mr. Chad just peeled away, I guess what? It's a good time to say, yeah, it is started in summer, but there's still action, wall to wall, football, basketball, offseason, recruiting, commitments, visits, everything locked in, and plenty more flair in between. So, another great show. Big shout out. Thank you to Danco Transmission Auto Care. Shout out, as always, to the fine people over there at Quick Paper Supply. And then aside from that,
Low Miller Real Estate.
Oh.
Give Adrian a referral. Win some free Reds tickets. What are you guys doing?
give him a call. Give him a call.
Reds tickets, parking pass, food vouchers.
Heck of a deal.
Come on.
Heck of a deal. But for my pals, good buds, Aaron Smith, Chad Brennan, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet another fantastic BBP presented by BearcatJournal.com.